Hi, I'm Rhonda, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass. This is our Tuesday live, coming to you at 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll also be with you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday. But if you can't join us live, of course, you can watch our recordings on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. So I don't have my Santa hat, but I'm kicking off on July 1st what I'm calling Christmas in July, because if you're planning to sell anything or even make anything for the holiday season, now's the time to get started and get started thinking. And so I have a big scary word for you. Well, yes, it's two words for you today, and that's business plan. Because I think anyone who is even considering doing something for the holiday season needs to have a business plan in place. Now, I know that's scary, and I know that seems like a big thing, but it really isn't. Because there are two types of business plans. So often when we think of a business plan, that is a formal document that is drawn up. There's usually some pie charts and some graphs and all those big fancy things. And that's something that you would present to a bank when you're getting a loan for your business, or if you're trying to bring partners into your business. And normally when we think of a business plan, that's what we think of. But what I'm talking about is what I'm calling an informal business plan. Only one person has to see that business plan, and that's you. So it's something that you draw up, you maintain, you check on ever so often, and it's really your North Star. So it is something, it's almost like a contract between you and yourself as to what you think your business should be and what you think your business should do. And honestly, that can come in many different forms. This is a document that can be handwritten, kept in your office. This is something you can do in a Word document. If you want to get fancy, you can use an Excel. You may even create yourself a nice little chart. But it's really just something for you. So a business plan at the end of the day is just a formal document describing your business and everything that's going to contribute to its success. The business plan, as I said earlier, is your North Star for your startup, and it's going to lend you direction to its progress. A well-defined business plan takes into, well, it really has several different benefits. One big thing is that by writing down your business plan, it's going to give you clarity of thought, and it's going to help you kind of really coalesce which ideas are going to work. So really writing it down kind of just helps you think through it. I think you've heard me say that I've been here at Sawgrass for 7 years, started off in the tech support department, but even before then I was a trainer and have always been a trainer at heart, even when I was a manager in other previous jobs. But at everything I've done, there's been some kind of talk about SMART goals, because without a goal, it's just a wish. So if you want to succeed in business, you have to have those goals, you have to have that plan, you have to have something written down. So really committing to that plan helps you look at it objectively. You're running through it, you're weeding out things that aren't going to work, and truly it allows you to see both the big picture and then to help form what small details are going to be needed to make that big picture happen. So a business plan is going to be extremely important. While you're writing that, you're doing research. Research helps you see other ideas, because like in my mind, when I think of a business plan, this is what a business plan is. I don't even think about that formal document that a larger company would present to the bank. But as I'm doing my research, oh yeah, there are two different kinds of business plans. So research helps you see things that you may not have thought of before. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, so excuse me if I cough or need some water today. It really helps empower you when you write your business plan, and it also makes it feel real. So it goes from just a hobby or something you're trying into something a lot more formal when you put it into writing. It's really going to be your roadmap. So it's going to show you where you are, where you want to be, and all the things you need to do to get there. It's really a business checklist in a way, so that you make sure that you're thinking of all those things that you need to think of to make sure that all those startup tasks are going to happen. It really, no matter how small your business is, it seems a lot more real when you give it a name and you give it a plan. And also, it's really not stressful because this is something that you're creating specifically for yourself. And it also, as you're getting started, it helps you kind of plan out what order you need to do things. And like I said, it helps you just kind of say, here's where I want to go, and here are the roadmap, or here are the stops along the road as we try to get there. You do require a roadmap that's going to kind of help you. It's going to help you figure out what you want to do. It's going to help you meet deadlines and set those deadlines. We talked about those SMART goals that you're going to need. And if you don't remember, they're specific, they're measurable, they're obtainable, they're realistic, and they're time bound. And I can make you a great chart on that because I've done it so many times. But those goals really help you so that you can be productive, that you're not running around like that chicken with its head cut off, and you're not stressed. Because if you don't create a business plan, there is no direction. There is a lot more stress. There is daily chaos. You're going to go round and round in circles. You won't know what step to take next. And honestly, you're setting yourself up for failure. So that is my little soapbox speech on why I think, even if you're just planning to sell a few items this Christmas, why I think you need a business plan. So now let's look at what kind of questions I think you should ask yourself if you're going to write one. Okay, so let's talk about, because when I think about a business plan, honestly, what I would do is I'm going to sit down with a Word document. I'm just going to get into Microsoft Word, and I'm probably going to write out the questions, and then I'm going to answer them. Now, I've got my base questions, because if you've been into any of my workshops, I've asked you these questions for many months now. So we're going to start with my questions, and then we're going to look at some questions that I pulled from other sources. Some of them are going to be similar. Some of them are going to be kind of repeats of each other. But you really can take all of these questions and figure out which ones kind of resonate with you, which ones you think are going to help you determine your plan. So here are those questions to answer in your business plan. Who is your customer? Who will you be selling to? Is it local? Is it global? Is it predominantly women? Is it mothers? Is it soccer families? Is it, like if I were to do this, I would probably, one big consideration of who my customer is people at the local ice rink. So that's somewhere that I am regularly. I know who these people are. I know kind of what they need. I know who they're cheering on. So who is your customer? So who would you be selling to? The next is what would you sell? Now this is a big one, and those two really are going to kind of determine everything else. If you have not heard it yet, we released a new podcast. This week. We released it yesterday. We have started season 2 of Ink Differently. A little bit of a joke because season 1 of Ink Differently was several years ago. But with our new season of Ink Differently, we just released episode number 2. You can access that on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music as well. But I sat down with Alex Fox, who owns an Etsy business. and he sells things that he makes with his Sawgrass printer and some other things as well. And one of the things he says that I think is so very important is he says you have to find a niche. So what need are you going to meet that isn't currently being met? So even if we look at a specific product, your ceramic mugs, or we look at our brand new offering with our VersaFlex system where you can do cotton t-shirts. Who would you be making cotton t-shirts for? Who would you be making mugs for? Who is that customer? And then what do you feel comfortable making? With our VersaFlex system, you could do both. You could do the mugs and you could do the cotton t-shirts. You may have a business that only caters or predominantly caters to people who are gardeners. So if you were going to open a business and your customers were people who like to work in their garden, what are some things that you may sell? What are those products? Knee pads for kneeling, signs to go in the rows in the garden, garden flags, wind spinners. There's so many different things you could find and offer specifically to a gardener. So then you're going to kind of narrow that down. What's going to give you the best margin? What's going to be the easiest to make? What do you think is going to have the least waste? And what fits with the equipment that you own? So all of these are great considerations with those first two questions. Where are you going to get your art? Are you someone who makes your own art? Are you going to get a My Sawgrass Plus membership and specifically look for artwork within the My Sawgrass design tool? Are you going to go to one of those outside places? Again, even if I'm looking at an outside place, where do I consistently find artwork that is sized well, works well with what I'm doing, and kind of fits my aesthetic or what I think my customer is looking for? So all of these are things to consider. How can you personalize the product? Now this is very important because the whole root of everything we do is personalization and customization. So how are you going to make it different? If you live in a specific area, I mentioned again my local ice rink. There are certain colors that are tied to specific teams. Can I make my items those colors, the artwork that I'm getting? If it's in my Sawgrass, then yes, most of it I can change to my right color palette. Can I do that with other artwork? So how are you going to do that? How are ways to tie in either a city name or a phrase that's close to you locally, or even a person's first or last name or first and last name? And then dates. Dates are so important when we're talking about houses and marriages and babies and all of those fun things. So how are you going to be able to personalize it? The next thing is, where will you sell? So is your business going to be all online? Is it going to be at local markets? Are you just going to sell to your friends, neighbors, and acquaintances and family on social media? Or is it some sort of mix of those things? So where would you sell? How would you sell? And then who else do you need to involve? You know, your niche may be that you're using local photography or you're using artwork from local artists. Those look so great on shirts and bags. So maybe you need to partner with one of them. Maybe you want to partner with another local business. I cannot tell you how much I feel that VersaFlex has changed what you can offer for Christmas as far as holiday themed decor. So you may want to talk to interior designers. You may want to talk to some other people who may want to use your products and what they're doing. Event planners, party planners, all of those fun people. So who do you need to talk to? And then what samples can you make and show? Now I know there are some very big questions in here, and we're going to be hitting on these the whole month of July. So don't worry, we will come back to that sample question in just a few weeks. Now, these questions are a little more general. Those were very, very specific to sublimation and VersaFlex, but some other things to consider. What does your startup do? Are you only going to do products with your Sawgrass equipment, or are you going to do something that branches out from that? We had a wonderful session last week with Miriam from the Netherlands. If you haven't got to see it, please check it out. And we talked about just this, cutting your custom shapes and then pressing onto them, printing and pressing onto them. But even if you are just doing both, you're making things to sell that you've printed and pressed onto the wood that you cut, or you could be using your laser cutter and making blanks for other people to use and selling both. So what is your startup going to do? What's the aim of it? What does it sell? And then here's that niche. What is your X factor? How is your offering different? Who are you catering to? Whose needs aren't being met currently? I told you about my love of our local ice center. There are figure skaters, there are hockey players, and hockey players that range in age from 4 all the way up to 44 or more. So there's a whole range in there to meet. And then we also have a great curling team. So we have a local curling club, so they definitely aren't getting personalized products made anywhere else. And so that may be my niche, is the local curling club. But any of these are groups or things that you may think of. I told you I had a wonderful talk with Alex Fox, and he talked about making things around villains. Not around heroes, around villains from the movies. So maybe that's something that you would look into, a specific characteristic. If you wanted to do princesses, are you catering to real life princesses, fictional but real life princesses, or cartoon princesses? There's a whole range there, and so much that you could do. So there's so many different things. What is your X factor? What makes you special? As we said earlier, who is your target customer? And then how are you going to reach them? There is now a festival, a show, an event for pretty much everything. How do you get there? How do you talk to people? How do you connect with them? What groups do you need to be into to start talking to them? And then how much revenue can you generate? This doesn't have to be your full-time job to have a business plan or to even call yourself a business. It can be a side hustle. Even a side hustle is still a business for you. So what does that look like? And then what can you do in the future? If you're starting a business with a Sawgrass printer, there's usually not a lot of startup costs. You're going to recoup that pretty quick. But then what can you make past that point, and how do you expand? Some other questions to consider, and these are some pretty big ones. What are your values? What is important to you in your business? Is it timeliness? Are you going to be the fastest to getting your customer stuff? Or is it quality? I think I've mentioned this before. What's your lanyap? I lived in Louisiana for a while, and lanyap goes back to the days of the street market. When you bought something, they would always give you a thank you, a little something extra. Maybe if you bought a book, you got a pressed flower to go inside of it. Maybe if you bought a confection, you got another little small confection to go with it. But what's your lanyap? What's the little something extra that you're doing that no one else is doing? It may be that you stand on environmental concerns and that you're using recycled materials as far as packaging materials. We already know that Sawgrass has worked to make our ink and our system as eco-friendly as humanly possible. And so how do you take that even a step further? That may be the values that you stand on. And what is your promise? anything that I do is going to be high on personalization, and it's going to be high on the customer service. What's your promise? What's going to make, and again, this is your X factor. Where does your little business, no matter how small it is, make it stand out from everybody else's? So these are the things that you kind of think of. What are you going to do with this business in the long run? What does it look like in 3 years? What does it look like in a year? And then to get your business ready for Christmas, which is just over 3 months away, well, I guess it's longer than that, but it's still really, really close. What do you need to get done now? What are those steps that you need to take? So all of these are the things that kind of play into why someone would want to buy from you instead of someone else. And what makes your small business, your side hustle, your side quest, as I love to say, what makes it special? What makes what you're doing special? And your big thing in this may not be to make a tremendous amount of money. It may just be a little extra income. It may be the ability to share what you love doing with other people, and then the lagniappe is that you get reimbursed for your cost and maybe a little bit extra. So what does that look like for you? What does your business look like? Because they're all going to be a little bit different. And then here is, if we wanted to formalize it, here are those big things that you kind of need to think about. What's the idea? Find out if people are buying in that area. Who else is doing it? How do you need to price it? What your marketing looks like. Now that's a big scary word, but how are you going to tell people about your business? How are you going to let them know what to buy? Do you have a logo? Do you have packaging? What makes your packaging not look like everybody else's packaging? So what does that look like? That's your visual branding. At the root of the day, do you have a logo? Do you have signature colors? What do you put things in? All of that is your branding. All of that is part of your personal marketing strategy. And then the two big ones then would be, what do you need to accomplish it? And really, all you need is a computer, Sawgrass printer, a press, and usually Microsoft, your Word and your Excel or your Google Sheets, and your Google Page. I think it's called Page. That's all you really need to get started. You just need to know how to do the basics and you're ready to go. And then, do you need a business license? At what point do you need a business license? How do you need to report that? So a little bit of extra research on your state will help kind of finish out those final points. All right, so that's it. That's what a business plan is. Those are the things that you would need if you're going to get started. And now is the time to do it, because the next steps are you're going to have to think about ordering products for the things that you want to make. You're going to have to think about, will you need extra help when you get closer to Christmas if you get a lot of orders? So now's the time to kind of think about what you need to do. Now, what if you're already in business? What if you're already selling? Well, this is a little bit easier. You're just going through what your plan is for this holiday season. You already know what your values are. You already know what your customer service looks like in your marketing, but you're just going to break down, what am I selling this Christmas? How am I going to tell people about it? Do I have my blanks? Do I have my shipping materials to send it out? What are those deadlines that I need to look at? I told you about my great talk with Miriam last week. Well, I also had a great talk with Lori Donovan. And Lori told us just about this. Setting that, if my orders need to go out on this date, this is when I have to have the orders by to get them out. So listen to that too. It'll help you as you formalize your business plan. Now, please go into our YouTube community. Tell us what your plans are for this holiday season. And tell us when you finish your business plan so I can give you a thumbs up and congratulate you on one of those big adulting steps and getting ready for the holiday season. Now tomorrow we're going to dive a lot deeper into that concept of where you can sell and what that may look like for you and your business. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Oh, I forgot. Rhodes, do we have any comments or any questions?
We are caught up on all of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I get a little excited about this because I really want you all to be able to make a little bit extra by doing something you love with your Sawgrass printers. So have a great day and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.